What are luminosity masks? We have many different ways to make selections in Photoshop, but this method is different because we will not use any ready-made tools, but we will use advanced techniques to create masks or, simply put, tone-based selections in the image that allow us to change specific parts of the photo. These selections target only the brightest, medium, or darkest tones, allowing you to make adjustments that you think are only needed in those areas. There are three types of luminosity masks. They are light, medium, and dark. However, all three types can be further refined so that you can create detailed selections. Luminosity masks are not on any list or menu in Photoshop and must be created manually by making selections based on RGB channels. Why and when should you use them? Well, luminosity masks are considered an advanced technique that requires some understanding of how Photoshop works. Before you even think about using them, you should at least understand how masks and layers work. Once you have that understanding, you're ready to begin to look at this more advanced technique. If you have any difficulties or misunderstandings at the basic level, such as how those masks and layers work, you can find all of this in my Photoshop beginner course. Having said that, it should be mentioned that luminosity masks are an incredibly powerful tool that can take your post-processing to the next level. I hope you understand me correctly. Just using this technique will have no visual impact on your image. With it, you need to make adjustments to the active selections from these masks with tools like levels or curves, color balance, dodge and burn, and more. I use luminosity masks in one way or the other for most of my images. They're not always necessary or required, but they are extremely useful. How are these light masks created? See these two circles. When I click here, I can select the area that is brightest in the image. In this way, we will have different masks so that we can make selections based on light. While it may sound a little confusing, you'll quickly realize how easy it is for you to create your first luminosity mask. Creating light and dark masks is quite easy, but for mid-range ones, it becomes a little more complicated. I'm going to help you clear up any confusion though. Let's start by creating light masks in the image. There are several different ways to create these selections, but I'll stick to the easiest and most common technique. There are things you will learn as you add to your bag of tricks to use as needed. Luminosity masks are created from the image channels that contain all colors. All you need to know about channels at this point is that they're divided into red, green, and blue, if you are in an RGB color space. Each of these channels contains the color information for the image. For example, red contains red, green contains green, and blue indicates blue. The combination of all of them, RGB, gives us our light in the image. The most common RGB channel is the one from which we'll start creating our masks. Clicking on RGB will make a selection on the bright parts of the photo. Then click on the Create Channel Selection button, and you'll see our new channel named Alpha 1. I'll rename this channel to Bright Channel 1, by which we can select anything that is white or light. If by chance your mask looks different from mine and is inverted, then you should click here for the Quick Mask button and select masked areas. Everything should be fine now. If everything is fine and looks like mine at first, don't worry about this step. Now, the first mask we created has to be made more precise. To enable selection of the light sections, click on Bright Channel 1 while holding down the Control or Command key if you're on Mac. Then hold down Shift, Control, and Alt, or Shift, Command, and Alt on Mac, and left-click Bright Channel 1. You see how your selection has changed? Again, save the selection by clicking the Channel Creation button and rename it as I have. Comparing the two channels, we can see that the second channel is darker than the previous one. This means that the second channel is a much more detailed mask in the selection of light sections than the first. In order to continue to improve our masks, we continue with the same steps. So we start from the middle and move to the lightest parts of the image. Press Ctrl and click on this channel to select its highlights, then hold Ctrl, Alt, and Shift and click on the second channel. Then save this selection by pressing this button to create a new channel. You can see that each created channel is getting darker and darker as the light parts become stronger and crisper. This is because with the creation of more channels, we're able to refine and select the brighter parts of the image more and more accurately, excluding the dark and neutral parts from the selection. Let's do this a few more times to have a total of 6 alpha channels. Now, when we have created these light selections, let's move on to creating selections for the darker parts. We start again from the main RGB channel. Press Ctrl plus left click, as I mentioned. We selected the light parts before. Now we need to select the dark ones. So to do that, we need to reverse the selection. This will select everything but the light parts. To do this, go to the Select menu and choose Inverse. Then save the selection as a channel. Now, when you enter the channel, you will notice that the white parts of our image have been removed and the black parts have been preserved. Rename the channel just like the others so we know what those channels are and to make it more tidy and organized. Let's refine this selection. Once you've activated your channel selection named Dark Channel 1, you should have an active selection. If you don't, click on the channel with Control, then hold Ctrl, Shift, and Alt, and left-click on that channel, Dark Channel 1. Your selection will change. Save the new selection as another channel. Just as with the light channels, we're refining our selection more and more, but this time from the dark part so that we can get all the pixels necessary from the image. Let's do this a few more times, just like we did with the light channels. We need 4 more to make 6 light and 6 dark selections. Now that we've created masks with which we can select the light and dark parts, we need to create channels with which to select the mid-range parts of our image. So far, we've excluded from the channels themselves to create these light and dark selections. We will now take away some of the overall image with the help of the selections we've just created to create a selection of the midtones. To do this, press Ctrl and A to select everything, or go to the Select menu and choose All to select the whole image. Now go to the very first channel we created, Bright Channel 1, and press and hold Ctrl and Alt, and click once on Bright Channel 1. Now we've removed the light sections of that channel. Now go to Dark Channel 1, which is the first selection of darks, and subtract the darks from the current selection. Ctrl, Alt, and click. If a notification appears, just click OK. Now, we have the first selection of midtones in our image. If you click on it, you will see that the light and dark parts are dark, i.e., only the averages are visible. Let's continue until we create some more medium ones. Repeat the steps you just followed and save the selections. Now that we have all the light, medium, and dark selections we need, we can use them to start modifying our image. Keep in mind that we've just been creating only the masks, and we haven't made any changes to the image. These are just selections that you can use later. To use them, we can work directly on the image as a selection, or we can add them as a mask on our adjustment layers. This is exactly what I'll do now. I'll choose which part of the image I want to adjust, in this case the light selection, and create a curves adjustment layer, making changes to the light areas as I wish. These techniques are also used when working on other types of photography. Photoshop Luminosity masks can do amazing things. When you want to create depth, contrast, or a three-dimensional vision of what you're processing, they are ideal. Take some time to learn this technique to see how easy it is, and it will help you accurately achieve results that no automatic tool in Photoshop can achieve.